All right, so today we're going to be looking at the Declaration of Interdependence.
Okay.
We're diving deep into Chapter 11.
All right.
It's called A Fractal Future.
Ooh, fractal future. That sounds interesting.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Just the name itself kind of had me hooked. And it's by Terry Sanders and Chad Steele.
Okay.
And we're going to be exploring some really fascinating ideas today.
Yeah, it's a really interesting chapter.
Yeah.
Fractal future, it kind of hints at the idea that, like, our actions, like small actions, can create ripple effects that impact the world around us.
Yeah, like those little starting points.
Yeah, exactly.
They kind of just grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, it's all interconnected.
Yeah.
Like those repeating patterns you see in fractals.
Okay, so let's unpack this idea.
Okay.
The authors introduce something called the infinity principle
Okay.
to explain this. And it states that prosperity equals profit divided by profit.
Profit divided by profit.
Yeah, and before you think we're going all spiritual on you, profit here represents things like inspired teachers
Okay.
and the guiding principles we live by.
Oh, so it's not like a religious profit?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Just more like those guiding lights in our lives.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like an equation.
It is an equation, yeah.
Okay.
It's a thought-provoking equation.
It is.
Yeah.
And they're basically suggesting that, like, when we focus more on those guiding principles, those profits, and less on just like pure monetary gain, we actually create a more prosperous society.
Okay.
It's really challenging our assumptions about what truly leads to success.
So it's not about ditching profits entirely.
Right.
It's about finding that balance.
Yes, finding that balance.
Because blindly chasing money, that can lead to some pretty negative outcomes.
Absolutely. And the book really highlights how, like, special interests can sometimes kind of hijack the system and put profit ahead of the common good.
Okay, so give me an example.
One example they use is Lincoln's vision of government of the people, which has, in their view, kind of evolved into a system that's really influenced by special interests.
So they're saying it's kind of strayed from that original vision.
Yeah, they're saying that it's not as pure as it once was.
And it's not just government, right?
Yeah, not at all.
They talk about the media, too.
Yeah, they delve into, like, the profit-driven nature of news.
Okay.
Where the focus can shift to, like, sensationalism and conflict.
Yeah.
Rather than, like, nuanced discussion.
Right.
I think we all experience that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know those attention-grabbing headlines?
Yeah.
They're just designed to keep us clicking and watching, even if they don't paint the full picture.
It's like they're playing on our natural tendency towards drama.
Exactly.
And then they talk about insurance.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, like, so relatable.
Yeah.
But often so frustrating.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
I do.
And they use a personal experience with healthcare billing to show just how complex and profit-focused these systems can become.
Yeah, it's an example a lot of people can relate to.
Oh, for sure.
That feeling of being lost in a maze of paperwork and procedures.
Right.
Wondering if, like, the original purpose, like helping people, has gotten lost somewhere along the way.
Yeah, so how do we shift away from these profit-centered systems?
Well, that's where their concept of fractegrity comes in.
Fractegrity.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a new one.
It is.
What's the idea behind that?
Well, it's about scaling up integrity.
Okay.
It's the concept that even small acts of individual integrity can have a ripple effect that influences larger systems and ultimately leads to a more ethical world.
So it's like those small acts of kindness we hear about that snowballs into something much larger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the butterfly effect applied to ethics.
I like that.
Yeah, your actions, even those that seem insignificant, could inspire others or spark a chain reaction of positive change.
So you're saying we never really know the impact we might have?
We don't know the impact.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty empowering when you think about it.
It is.
It means we all have a role to play in creating a better future.
We do.
But what does that look like in practice?
Right.
Do they offer any solutions?
They do. They do.
Okay.
They suggest we promote ethical business practices.
Okay.
Support political candidates who genuinely have the common good in mind. And advocate for campaign finance reform to kind of level the playing field.
So essentially moving away from a me mentality to a we mentality.
Exactly.
And there's a quote I'm reminded of, be the change you wish to see in the world.
Oh, yeah.
It seems to fit here.
It does.
It's about taking responsibility for our own actions.
Yeah.
Recognizing that even our small choices can have a wider impact.
Absolutely. And they even push that idea further.
Okay.
Suggesting that, like, our decisions should benefit all forms of life.
Oh, wow.
Not just humanity.
Okay.
So think about the well-being of the planet.
future generations,
right.
even the smallest creatures.
Okay, so it's a pretty radical shift in perspective.
It is a big shift.
Wow. Okay, so let's paint a picture of this fractal future they envision.
Okay.
What does a world transformed by fractegrity actually look like?
Well, it's a world defined by interconnectedness,
Okay.
cooperation,
Yeah.
and equitable sharing of resources.
So you're saying, like, imagine a world where human actions are in balance with the natural world.
Exactly.
Okay.
Ensuring sustainability for future generations.
Right.
Where values like love,
Yeah.
gratitude, compassion, acceptance
Okay.
are at the forefront.
That's a beautiful vision.
It is.
But how do we get there? Where do we even start?
Well, they use the analogy of sound waves to illustrate this.
Okay.
So just as a single sound can resonate
Yeah.
and create a cascade of vibrations,
Okay.
our positive actions and emotions can influence others and spread outward.
So it's about finding those points of resonance.
Those areas where our actions can make a difference.
Exactly.
No matter how small.
No matter how small.
So it's not about waiting for some grand sweeping change.
Right.
It's about those individual actions.
Yeah.
Those ripples.
Yeah.
That build upon each other.
Yeah, they really emphasize that.
Okay, but there's got to be more to it than that, right?
Yeah.
How do these individual actions actually translate into changing larger systems?
That's a good question. Yeah, it's true. It's not just about individual actions like existing in a vacuum.
Right.
It's about how those actions interact with and influence the systems around us. Think of it like a feedback loop.
Yeah.
Individual acts of fractegrity can start to shift the values and priorities within those larger systems.
Okay, so how does that actually work? Like, do they give any real-world examples of this fractal future in action?
They do. Take the growing movement towards ethical consumerism, for instance.
Okay.
More and more people are thinking about the impact of their purchases on the environment, on workers' rights, even on animal welfare.
Yeah.
They're choosing to support businesses that align with those values.
So it's about putting your money where your morals are.
Yeah.
Voting with your wallet, so to speak.
Exactly. And businesses are taking notice.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
We're seeing companies adopt more sustainable practices.
Okay.
Source materials ethically.
Yeah.
And even shift their entire business models to focus on social good.
Wow.
It's a direct response to this growing awareness and demand from consumers.
That's really encouraging.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, what about on the political front?
Right?
Are there examples of people using their voice and their vote to push for this more just and equitable world?
Absolutely. Think about the movements for social justice, for climate action, for campaign finance reform.
Okay.
These are all grassroots efforts driven by individuals who are passionate about creating a better future.
Right.
They're organizing, protesting, lobbying, donating to causes they believe in. Yeah.
They're putting fractegrity into action on a larger scale.
It's like they're tapping into that collective power.
Yeah.
That ripple effect we talked about.
Exactly.
It's inspiring to see.
It is.
But let's be realistic. Changing deeply entrenched systems can't be easy.
No, it's not.
What do the authors say about those inevitable challenges?
Well, they don't shy away from the difficulties.
Okay.
They acknowledge the power of special interests.
Right.
The influence of money in politics.
Yeah.
And the sheer inertia of long-established systems.
So they're saying they're very real obstacles.
Very real obstacles.
Okay, so how do we overcome those obstacles?
Yeah.
How do we create lasting change when so much seems stacked against us?
Well, it circles back to fractegrity.
Okay.
And the understanding that individual actions, when multiplied, can create a collective impact strong enough to shift those systems.
Okay.
It takes persistence.
Yeah.
A refusal to give up.
And a commitment to finding ways to amplify our voices and actions.
Okay.
Building coalitions, finding common ground.
Yeah.
Even working within existing systems to advocate for change.
Right.
These are all part of the process.
So it's a long game.
It is.
It's about those consistent ripples.
Yeah.
Those ongoing efforts.
Right.
Rather than expecting overnight transformation.
Yeah. Precisely. The authors emphasize that creating a fractal future is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
It's a continuous process of learning, adapting, and evolving.
So you're saying it requires us to stay engaged, informed, and committed to the values that drive us.
Absolutely.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Right.
And celebrating those wins along the way, no matter how small,
Yes.
to keep that momentum going.
Yeah.
But how do we stay motivated, especially when faced with setbacks?
Yeah.
How do we avoid getting discouraged when things get tough?
That's where self-care comes in.
Self-care.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's easy to burn out when you're passionate about making a difference.
Yeah.
But it's crucial to take care of yourself.
Okay.
Physically, emotionally, even spiritually.
Right.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
We need to nourish ourselves to show up fully for the causes we care about.
It's not selfish to prioritize self-care.
Yeah, not at all.
It's essential to sustain our efforts in the long run.
Exactly. And remember, creating this fractal future is a collective effort.
Right.
We need to support each other, celebrate our victories, and offer compassion and encouragement when things get tough.
So it's about remembering we're all in this together.
We are all in this together.
It's not about individual heroes, but a collective movement.
The collective move.
It's a wave of positive change building momentum.
Yes.
But let's get practical. Our listeners probably wondering,
right,
what can I do? How do I contribute to this?
That's a great question. And the beauty of it is there are countless ways to contribute. It can feel overwhelming, but remember, it starts with that first ripple.
Yeah.
What resonates most with you from what we've discussed today?
Okay.
What sparks your passion?
So it's about aligning our actions with our values.
Exactly.
Maybe it's making more conscious consumer choices.
Yeah.
Getting involved in local politics.
Right.
Or even just having those courageous conversations about the issues that matter to us.
Absolutely. It all adds up.
It all adds up.
And remember, it's not about being perfect.
Okay.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Right.
We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
We all have doubts.
Sure.
The key is to keep learning, keep growing, and keep moving forward.
We're not alone in this journey.
We're not.
There were so many others who share this vision of a better future.
Yeah.
Together, we can be a powerful force for change.
We can.
But I think it's important to acknowledge that change rarely happens in a straight line. There will be setbacks.
There will.
There will be challenges.
Yeah.
So how do we stay resilient in the face of those challenges?
Yeah.
How do we keep from getting discouraged when things get tough?
That's where tapping into a sense of purpose becomes vital.
Right.
Remembering why you started on this path in the first place.
Right.
Reconnecting with those core values that drive you.
Okay.
Sometimes it's about taking a step back.
Yeah.
Allowing yourself to rest and recharge, and then coming back to the work with renewed energy and focus.
It's like tending a garden.
Yeah.
You need periods of rest and nourishment to allow for growth and blossoming.
Exactly.
We can't expect to be on all the time.
We can't.
And it's important to celebrate those small victories along the way.
It is.
Recognizing those moments of progress, no matter how incremental, helps to fuel our motivation and inspire us to keep going.
Absolutely.
It's about finding that balance between action and reflection.
Right.
Between pushing forward and allowing ourselves to rest and regroup.
It is a marathon, not a sprint.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
But it's a marathon worth running.
But it's a marathon worth running.
The authors emphasize the importance of envisioning the future we want to create. They talk about the power of our imagination.
Right.
Of holding a clear and compelling vision of a world. Characterized by harmony, sustainability, and justice.
So it's not just about fixing what's broken.
No.
It's about creating something entirely new.
Yeah.
Something better. Something that reflects our highest aspirations for ourselves and for the world.
That's the essence of building a fractal future.
I love that.
It's about tapping into our collective creativity and ingenuity.
Yeah.
To design systems and solutions that serve the well-being of all.
This whole conversation has been incredibly thought-provoking.
It hasn't.
I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this fractal future concept.
Yeah, there's so much more to explore.
But if there's one key takeaway I hope our listener walks away with, it's that we're not powerless in the face of these huge, complex challenges.
We're not.
We have agency. We have the power to choose to act and to create change. And those choices, no matter how small they may seem, can ripple outward and contribute to something much larger than ourselves.
Well said. It's been a pleasure diving into these ideas with you.
It has been fun.
And to our listener, I leave you with this invitation. What is one small action you can take today to create a positive ripple effect in your own sphere of influence?
That's a good question.
It doesn't have to be grand or heroic.
Right.
Maybe it's reaching out to someone who's struggling.
Yeah.
Volunteering your time to a cause you believe in. Or simply making a conscious effort to be more mindful of your impact on the world around you.
Every ripple counts.
Every ripple counts.
And as Terry Sanders and Chad Steele so eloquently remind us in the Declaration of Interdependence, it's these individual acts of fractegrity multiplied across communities and across the globe that have the power to create a future where all beings can thrive.
I love that.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll be back next week with another fascinating exploration.
Looking forward to it.
Until then, keep those ripples of positive change flowing. So it feels like we've been handed this incredible toolbox, filled with ideas and strategies.
Right.
But knowing where to start can still feel really daunting.
It can.
Right.
It's about recognizing we each have our own unique set of skills and talents and passions.
Right.
And when we align those with our desire to make a difference, that's where the real magic happens.
So it's not about trying to fit into some predetermined mold or anything. It's about finding our own unique way to contribute to this fractal future.
Absolutely. The authors encourage us to embrace our individuality, to experiment, to think outside the box. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to creating this kind of change.
Maybe that's part of what makes it so exciting.
Right.
It's this ever-evolving emergent process driven by the collective creativity and wisdom of countless individuals, each playing their part.
Exactly. And it's a process that requires us to stay open, to learn from our missteps, and to adapt to changing circumstances.
Of course.
The world is complex and there's always more to learn.
So it's not about reaching some fixed end state or achieving some perfect utopia or something.
Right.
It's about embracing the journey,
Absolutely.
this ongoing process of growth and evolution.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that we're all works in progress.
We are.
And so is the world we're trying to create.
That's a really important point. And amidst the complexities and challenges, it's crucial to hold on to that sense of hope.
Oh, totally.
Because as long as we're willing to keep striving, to keep learning, to keep connecting with each other, we have the power to create a future that's more more sustainable and more beautiful than anything we can currently imagine.
It's like we're all artists contributing brushstrokes to a massive collective canvas.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Right.
It captures the essence of this idea so perfectly.
Yeah. And it speaks to the power of collective action. None of us can do this alone.
No, we can't.
But together we can create something truly extraordinary.
We can.
This whole conversation has been incredibly thought-provoking.
It has.
I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this fractal future concept.
There's so much more to explore.
But if there's one key takeaway I hope our listener walks away with, it's that we're not powerless.
We're not.
In the face of these huge, complex challenges,
absolutely not.
We have agency. We have the power to choose to act and to create change.
We do.
And those choices, no matter how small they may seem, can ripple outward and contribute to something much larger than ourselves.
Well said. It's been a pleasure diving into these ideas with you.
It has been fun.
And to our listener, I leave you with this invitation.
Okay.
What is one small action you can take today to create a positive ripple effect in your own sphere of influence?
I like that.
It doesn't have to be grand or heroic.
Right.
Maybe it's reaching out to someone who's struggling.
Yeah.
Volunteering your time to a cause you believe in.
Yeah.
Or simply making a conscious effort to be more mindful of your impact on the world around you.
Yeah, every ripple counts.
Every ripple counts.
And as Terry Sanders and Chad Steele so eloquently remind us in the Declaration of Interdependence, it's these individual acts of fractegrity multiplied across communities and across the globe.
Exactly.
That have the power to create a future where all beings can thrive.
A beautiful vision.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was a pleasure.
We'll be back next week with another fascinating exploration.
Looking forward to it.
Until then, keep those ripples of positive change flowing.